Welcome to my garden build-out series. This is episode 3 in the evolution of how I built my main garden over a 4-year period. We are going to do a very fast recap through the photos I shared in episode 1 and 2, just in case you haven't seen those. However, if you want to know any details about certain items, you may want to watch those videos next. But if you have seen them and you don't want to watch this brief recap, you can skip ahead to the 1 minute and 39-second mark, which is when we finish this quick run through. And I will also have time codes in the description. I believe in episode 2, we left off at the beginning of the year 2022 or somewhere around there. So that is where I wanted to pick back up today. I may have covered a little bit of 2022 before we ran out of memory, but there are a few things I want to point out to you today. In 2022, we redesigned that terrace garden because those landscape timbers were not working. You can see here where we had started adding gravel behind that fence in the main garden. Here is the new design for the terrace garden. I used cinder blocks and built that up. That took a lot of sweat equity, digging out and leveling. It took me a couple of days of messing with those blocks to get them perfectly level. We extended the garden fence up the hill, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then you can also see how our walkway goes down the center of the path between the main garden and the south garden. And that became a big issue for mowing, having to drag the lawnmower back and forth over those landscape timbers and the walkway. So in 2023, we decided to move the walkway over to the other side so that it left one big open space to mow. And then here you see our grapevines. They started out in these pots with just a little string trellis. And then at the beginning of 2023, we built our Grapevine Grotto with a cattle panel trellis. Another purpose for the Grapevine Grotto is you can see that I had a table up on that hilltop next to the terrace garden. And in 2022, I decided that was not a good place for that table because it's over grass. And every time I needed to mow, having to move furniture was so time consuming and annoying.
Hey everyone, good morning. Sailor and I out here early this morning. It feels great, and we're talking about the redesign that we did in 22. Was it late 22 or 23?
It was like spring of 23.
Okay. And if you look around at the pathway we have now, currently, it was over about 10 feet. Is that right? Maybe 5 or 10, not even that far.
Maybe
not 2 or 3
feet. Yeah, it was about, I think we literally moved it. Like, I think these timbers were in the same place that they were originally.
But the walkway was on this side.
Right.
Yeah,
the walkway was over here and we just moved it over.
And it gave us more sections. If you see that it's kind of difficult to come over here and mow.
When it was in two different, especially this side over here, because you could just get the mower down one time.
Right. And we did not have gravel over there then either.
Right. We did not.
No. So we were having to bounce around to get the mower and get everything cut. Or sometimes we were just weed eating it.
Yes.
Just because it needed it so bad. Did you discuss the fact you're going to redo the pathway as far as staining it and painting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to redo the pathway again, but I don't think we're going to move it like we did previously. This has worked out good. Even though I like the way that it looked previously, I liked it better.
Well, and one of the things too that we had last time, as I just stepped over this timber, remember we had a low spot here and the walkway was always in water. Remember,
Was it?
it was very wet right through
Oh,
here,
okay. I'm not
and
surprised because this whole area was always wet
because
before that.
you put the underlayment down and more gravel, you just basically moved all the gravel,
Hmm.
right? Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I just scraped all the gravel over, and we let the grass grow back right here, and
And the
that
weeds.
was mainly just to make it easier to mow and to give Rocky a little bit more of a larger space to run
Bathroom.
and play.
Give Rocky a little larger bathroom.
Yeah,
So pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah,
And
yeah.
as you can see, the weeds are kind of running rampant right now. The hembent, everything that's green, pretty much right now is some type of weed.
Yes.
The grass is starting to pop, but
And we are working on this, so please bear with us as we are doing our cleanup this spring. It'll look
right.
so much prettier in a couple of weeks.
We
But
did reposition and redo our trellises for the
oh,
tomatoes.
yes. Yeah, I saw that one. It's kind of bowed. We may have to swap that piece of wood out,
Right.
huh?
Yep.
But yeah, this, let me get out of the sun here.
Yes. Right.
This gate we did have to, or fencing, we did have to reposition because remember this one curved
That way.
previously. Yeah,
Right.
it kind of turned this way
Eh,
and we changed that all up.
Yeah, and it gave us a little bit more room back
It
here.
did, yes.
So we were able to get back to this other bed and
Yeah, because this fence, I did have it against that bed and I kind of used it as a trellis, but then I couldn't get to the back side of it. So once we opened this up, I liked it a lot better. Plus, the compost bin used to sit right next to it. And so when it would leak or anything would fall out, it would fall out on the gravel. And I'd prefer it to fall over there where we can still actually collect it and use it.
now, and also, this area here was had a deck. Remember, we had the deck
Yes.
back here. So
Yes.
all this has been cleaned out
Yep.
and has room for potentially, possibly other beds, maybe.
Yeah, we're going to do raised beds, the metal raised beds, Birdies, and Vego later in the season. We're going to test those out and do a side by side comparison at some point as
And
soon
we're
as we have the money to buy those beds.
and a panel. We're taking this panel, remember,
Yes,
and putting.
I've been wanting to ask you about that. Do you have some heavy duty clippers where we could just cut that thing in half and do 8-foot sections?
I
Two
do.
different. You
I
do?
do.
Okay.
Not on me,
Not, yeah, I
but I do
figured.
have some
I've
snips.
I've been meaning to ask you that for a while now.
I,
Let's turn this way because the sun,
yes.
you can't see a thing going that direction anyway. Okay, so let's go back down here and we'll show where we changed all of this stuff. Now, I have to look back at the pictures to remember, but I think it was 2021. Can't remember what part of 2021, but that is when because the fence used to, did you ever see the fence art when before it went up the hill? Were you here with me the whole time when the fence used to be closed off right there and this
No.
was open?
Mm-mm.
You never saw that? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So then it was earlier in 2021 that I ran the fence up this way. However, at the time, that's what that extra panel is right there.
Right.
That you brought over. It was the panel that went right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then remember, we were having issues trying to mow because I would mow up there and then come down here and have two different patches to mow and then have to have somebody lift the mower up here for me because there was no other way to get over here. And then finally, I broke down and bought a gate so that then when we're mowing up top, we can actually open that gate to access the rest of this. And that made it so much easier.
Now, did you explain the fact that the whole reason for the fencing is to keep Rocky out of the garden area?
Right.
And
yes.
give him the play area that's in
Yeah,
vegetation?
Rocky will get in all of the beds and he'll use the bathroom wherever he pleases if he could get in there. Not to mention that he also likes to bark at all the neighbor dogs, usually only when they bark first, but
He still thinks he's the only dog in existence. He doesn't know that there's others out there like him.
Yeah. So having him blocked off from there helped a lot. Having him blocked off from there helped a lot. So now all that he can access is right through here as far as other dogs go. So that has helped us a lot. And so here, originally the bridge was positioned differently. Or did you want to talk about that, Art? And the gate over there was positioned differently originally. And then last year when we changed this walkway and moved it over, that's when we had to reconfigure this because the panels weren't going to line up correctly. So And we expanded this area because originally, I think it was winter of 2022, we started thinking about doing a greenhouse, but we hem-hawed around on it looking for the best deal. And by the time we made a decision, it was like March of 2023. And I said, I don't, it's so late in the season, there's no point in getting a greenhouse at this moment because we live in a very hot climate in Oklahoma. So we wouldn't really have used it much in the summer. It would have been more of a winter thing. But anyway, you can see here we made space for a 6x8 greenhouse. And then when we wound up not doing that, Art built me this little, what was going to be a pond and a fountain and everything. And then we never did finish that. So this year we're probably going to change some of this. I was even thinking, Art, the other day, this extra gravel here.
Yes.
I'm thinking, remember when I told you that I feel like the bridge gets lost now?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because there's so much gravel. So I'm thinking if we move this little pond area, if we go ahead and move these landscape timbers, we could scoop up this gravel and put it in the south garden since we needed more gravel over there anyway, right?
Right. Yep.
So yeah,
Repurpose
so
that.
that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, so we had to move this fence and then we angled the bridge where it used to be straight. We angled it and everything. But then when we put that pond there, I think with just all of the gravel and the little pond area, the bridge kind of gets lost now. So
it did give us more room back here to walk. You've explained that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, Art was going to show that.
This the previous fence and gate, I think, was more or less just a tiny walkway.
Yes, about right there. You could literally squeeze through by this bed, but you could not squat down or anything. So you couldn't actually work on this side of the bed unless you were standing.
Yes, and by moving this, an extra foot, 2 feet? So now you have full room to...
maybe?
Yep.
Yes. So I was able to do a lot more in this bed last year than in previous years. But the reason also was because I had left, let me back up here and show. I had left hi Rocky, I had left like a foot wide soil pathway going all the way down right here. So the fence was over here, right? And I had left this soil pathway where I had planted a bunch of lavender and stuff, trying to use that as a pest deterrent of the entire garden. But this area just stays so wet. It has a really bad drainage problem right there. And so nothing survived. So that's why we decided, let's go ahead and get rid of that entire bed because nothing's living there. It was just stagnant soil. And yeah, it would get really smelly and everything. And it just had standing water in it all the time. So anyway, when we moved, in order to move the pathway and move the gate, because obviously when the walkway was over, the gate was lined up with it. So anyway, we had to reconfigure all of that, bring this panel down here, and then in order to get it to fit and the gate to line back up with this one, we had to do some angles here. So
and we're going to fix this gate to where it's not kind of crooked and whatnot.
Yes, this spring, we're going to do a whole lot of cleanup and rearranging. So,
I'm sorry.
What were you going to say?
That if this is going to be a permanent fixture here for a while, what I can do, because these just anchor into the ground and over time the soil gets, wet and it kind of leans.
Yes.
You can take a 2-inch or not even 1.25 inch PVC, put it in the ground, dab a little bit of concrete, set these in there, and it'll make them fixture permanently here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If we move, and we plan to, is to you can still pull them up, and take them out, but they'll at least be secured, anchored, and straight.
Yeah.
But,
there are posts. You know that, right?
Yes.
But I don't have them on every single one because when I put this fence up by myself, I was so worn out. So I kind of skipped. I only did them on some. So if we go back and put those stakes in on every one of them, it'll be a whole lot more secure than it is.
Oh, it's definitely secure. I just trying to think of something that we could do as an additional project in the process of cleaning this area up and planting.